Pat, how much convincing did it take to get Mitch to bowl? Just kind of how proud of him for what he was able to come and do in this test?
Yeah, no convincing at all, really. Just left it in Starkey's hands, and he went out the back, gave it a go, and said, "Yeah, I can bat and I can try bowling." Thought he might be Nathan Bracken 125 swingers, but ended up bowling bowling pretty much normally. So, just probably a good time to mention all the incredible achievements this week. Starkey with a finger, it's going to put him out for a few weeks to have the bravery to go out there and do that. Cam Green the same, gutsing it out for us. Saw Steve Smith and Davey on day 2 in 38 degrees. Like gutsy innings. Even Joshy Hazelwood before the game, putting his hand up and kind of removed himself from selection. I think just speaks volumes of the team at the moment. There's so much care, so much. Everyone will do anything for each other, so it's in a really good place.
Given all the stuff you just said there, does it kind of rank as a test win for them?
It's right up there. I mean, winning by an innings and 200 runs doesn't tell the full story. Alex Carey's innings with Greenie yesterday to get us that lead. There's so many different individual stories. Against South Africa, just it's right up there certainly.
Pat, South Africa ranked number 3 in the world coming in. Could you ever imagine that you'd be in this position? You've won 2 tests in a row in such convincing fashion.
It's always the hope. We've been playing fantastically, especially at home the last few series. I think that's now 5 series in a row we've retained or won the trophy. So that's always the hope, I guess, coming in, that we can continue that form and if anything, we've gone to another level. Through a lot of us, a lot at us, especially our batting lineup the last 2 games, and they've stood tall and really great 2 wins.
I'm tempted to ask if you can show us the finger, but can you
Probably don't want that.
Can you talk us through what adjustments you had to make to bowl, or how it affected your bowling?
Not too many. Some painkillers helped. I think it's probably just taken a little bit of the pressure off my middle finger. Onto the ball from my middle finger, which I think actually helped my seam position. So I might see if they want to leave it detached for a bit longer. This is helping the swing, but not too much. It was just sort of hopefully play a role and be able to not leave him bowler down. Obviously with Greenie, with Greenie's finger, we lost him in the second innings. So it would have been a big ask. Not that I'm sure they would have been able to do it, but a big ask for just Scotty, Pat, and Nath to bowl. So I think Pat came over 3 balls into that first over of the second innings and said this is going better than we thought, and I certainly was of the same opinion. So it was just nice to be able to play a role and contribute in that second innings.
It was the first time. Can I do a double?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
There was once a threat of terrible punishment if the line was ever mentioned again by an Australian cricketer, but you did mention it today. Can you talk us through what your thought process was there, and would you have run out the
brain?
Yeah. The line's there for a reason.
I had a word to him last night actually, because he was doing it yesterday. And then he was halfway down Punt Road when I stopped. So. And then I said it again to him. He said, I'm not doing it on purpose. Geez, I've got to keep my foot behind the line, so you can at least keep your bat behind the line. But there's no need for it. So I keep saying I'm not going to take the stumps, but you could at least keep your bat behind the line.
Pat, you've obviously been involved with this team for quite some time now. Just wondering where this team, as it is now, with all of those things that you mentioned and the effort that went in, and also the class of player you've got, where's this team sort of ranking right now?
Probably the best team, test team I've played in. Just in terms of how well settled everyone is, how well everyone knows their game plan. In terms of captaining, I don't feel like I have to do much at all. Everyone looks after themselves, and you just kind of make sure the bus is on time, which the team manager does, and everyone does their thing when they get here. So it's just in a really sweet spot at the moment. yeah, we know it's not going to stay like this forever, but I think we can just all kind of sit back and appreciate the place that we are in at the moment, because it's really special, and we're having a lot of fun as well doing it together with some of our best mates.
And I guess just then, from your side of it, Mitch, now that you've sort of been in the job for a year, how do you rate what Pat has done?
It's hard to add to that. It's just a really enjoyable place to be, and I think it's been that way for particularly the last 18, 24 months. We're playing some really good cricket. It's a settled team. There's a lot of trust there in whether it be preparation, knowing what you need to be ready for a test, or know that you're going to be able to deliver through the week. Paddy mentioned at the start little things along the way, whether it be Greenie coming out with a broken finger, or Joshy putting his hand up, or Davey batting forever in 38 degrees. It's team first for this group, no matter what, and then doing that and with a lot of your closest mates, it's just a fun place to be. We're playing some good cricket and a lot of big opportunities coming up, which are going to be really special for this group.
Just on the team first thing, that you spoke about Mitch bowling, but just that afternoon session yesterday when he walked out to bat, and just what was the thought process behind, or were you worried at all? Could it impact bowling?
Yeah, I think. What are you laughing at?
It's concussion subs, or?
The first thing was making sure Cam and Starc were both comfortable with the bat, and the medical team were really comfortable that the injuries couldn't get any worse. So, they got knocked a couple of times. It wasn't going to lengthen their time frame anyway. So that was kind of the first thing to tick off, and both were itching to get out there. So, it probably took our lead from 250 up to near 400, which is a huge difference. Basically guarantees you don't have to bat again, or if you do, you're chasing 100 and with 10 wickets in hand pretty quickly if you need to. So, again, gutsy. They were kind of itching to get out there.
And just on 2022, do you think your biggest takeaway is how you, as a team, found different ways of winning in different conditions in Pakistan and Green Top?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Pakistan, it was really different to Sri Lanka even, both in subcontinent. Even the wickets here in Australia, this is a pretty traditional Aussie wicket, but last year's Ashes wasn't. If anything, it was probably similar to, seaming conditions you might get over in a place like England. So I feel like we've found a way wherever we've played. We've been dynamic, and it hasn't just been 11 players, it's been 14 or 15 we've leaned on who are, very much part of this team, even if they haven't got a chance in these last few games.
Just you talk about how settled the team is and how well they're gelling. You go to Sydney, you're going to have to make changes. Do you have a preference, or do you have any thoughts on what the team might look like in Sydney, or have you just not thought about it?
I've thought about it a little bit. I think we'll work through the squads tonight, and I think we'll announce that tomorrow. The first thing is probably to have a look at the wicket up there. From afar, it looks a little bit dry this year, so I'm sure we'll add an extra spinner to the mix. Greenie's pretty close to being irreplaceable, I think, as a top order batter. That gives you another bowling option. So, we'll chat through kind of all those combinations when we get a bit closer, but not settled on anything.
Just another one on Sydney and selection. I know you probably don't know exact conditions, but I mean, in terms of philosophically, that selection, are you picking a team purely just to win the Sydney Test, or do you also pick one with in mind what you want to achieve in India and getting the players ready for that assignment?
I think it's a mix. It's a pretty good lead in terms of it's probably going to be the wicket in Australia that closest resembles India, even if it doesn't spin big. It might give us a chance to have a look at one or two players that will be on that Indian tour ahead of that. But the first priority is, of course, to win the Test match. Yeah.
And Mitch, what are your next few weeks sort of look like from a finger point of view? What you need to do to bring that together?
At this stage, I think I'm getting another scan in Sydney and seeing a finger specialist to work through all that. Obviously, India's coming up, so we'll see what time frames they're in after I've had those discussions next week, and hopefully it fits in this somewhere at the front end of the tour. And apart from the finger being out of action, I can still train to some degree, and bowl in, I think, creative ways to keep my bowling workloads up whilst the finger not being impacted. So that side of it's going to be fine. It's just where the time frame of the tendon comes into the Indian stuff.
I had a similar question. So it's a tendon problem that you've got?
Yeah, from the scans the other day, it's the tendon's basically gone from the top of the finger, so I can't straighten it or any of that. So as I said, we'll see the finger specialist in Sydney and get a clearer picture and recovery and timeframes and rehab and go from there.
Well,
Yeah, just confirm. So clearly you're out of the Sydney test.
Yep.
Mitch, I know you said you'd never actually take the wickets with a man cad, but what would it take for that to happen? I mean, if someone like the brain keeps running out, like, does that change your thinking at all? Is there a line in which you have to do it?
What do you reckon, Skipper?
Yep.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, if you saw how far down he was.
You're allowed to warn them a couple of times, but they keep taking the mickey.
That's just absolutely taking the mickey. That's not just taking off before a bowl. He's a metre down the wicket. So, I gave him a couple of warnings. If he wants to keep doing it, I'll take him.
all good.